Hey guys, welcome back for another Jedi Journal entry. Today we will be looking at the Jedi Order's thoughts about nature versus technology in a galaxy far, far away. Despite the futuristic setting in Star Wars, people have always been able to connect with the story and its themes. This is due in part to the archetypal story structure of the films with universal themes and character archetypes we all inherently recognize. Within this archetypal story, we are introduced to intergalactic travel, alien species, lightsabers, and the Force. Jedi, like Qui-Gon Jinn, often mention the importance of the living Force and how a Jedi should pay attention to it, being that the Force is sustained by all living things, as well as inanimate objects like rocks and ships. It raises an important question about the value of life in the Star Wars universe. At a surface-level glance, the Jedi can be seen as reinforcing a kind of mind-body dualism, whereby one must overcome their biological nature instead of integrating with it. Yoda does tell Luke in Empire that luminous beings are we, not this crude matter, seemingly making the distinction between the flesh and blood of the physical world and the real of what is unseen. The idea might imply that Jedi are, in reality, their own consciousness, and that their bodies are just vehicles by which they navigate the world. But like Luke, we receive more information on the subtleties of the Force. We have learned that the Force is an energy field created by all living things that binds the universe together. That this life force energy surrounds and binds everything from you, me, the trees, the rocks, even between land and ship, and that this energy is the source of a Jedi's magic powers. This doesn't paint the picture of a split between the physical world and the unseen so much as an interaction between the two parts as a function of the whole. A Jedi's physical training hones their senses in the material world, and their training within the Force allows their mind to directly influence the world around them by connecting to an unseen level of reality. Further driving the interaction between the physical and the unseen is the rule that the Force only communes with living things. Qui-Gon tells Anakin that midichlorians symbiotically live in all living cells, facilitating the existence of life and allowing us to connect with the Force. He says that when Anakin learns to quiet his mind, he will be able to hear the midichlorians communicating the Force's will to him. Since the midichlorians are a part of your own body, connecting with the Force in this way is also a control of one's body, allowing mind and body to be one. Saying, "May the Force be with you," is akin to saying, "May you be with the Force." May you harmonize your body to the cosmic signal of the Force, in essence, aligning yourself to the higher power so that you may be in tune with it. By understanding that the Jedi himself lives in symbiosis, as the midichlorians inside him do, he is able to recognize the symbiosis in other parts of the world and to understand the natural order of the universe. This helps to cement the Jedi's understanding of their own place within the universe. There is a recurrent theme in the Star Wars movies about the duality between technology and nature. In the opening of the very first Star Wars movie, we are shown, without words, the differences between the Empire and the Rebellion. As they prep for the shootout in the corridor, the rebels' faces are all laid bare for us to see, while the stormtroopers' faces are covered. This visual highlights the difference between the opposing forces as one being humane and the other mechanical. Ewoks and Gungans, for example, both defeat the technology-based Empire and Trade Federation, and in doing so prove that those who harmonize with nature are stronger than those who try to crush nature in favor of technology. Jedi use technology when they are out on their missions, but they do it while in service of the Force. They work to defend life and symbiosis, which are the wellspring of the Force. The machines they use are seen as extensions of themselves, just as their lightsabers are. A Jedi's weapon is considered part of their life and a symbol of Jedi knighthood just as much as it is a weapon. Naturally growing crystals are taken by the Jedi and used to power their lightsabers. The Jedi combine the advancement of technology with the power of nature in their lightsaber construction. Jedi do not pit nature against technology, they mediate the two. Jedi do not dominate nature the way Sith do, but rather they seek to harmonize with it. Jedi do not engage in what the German philosopher Martin Heidegger calls enframing. Enframing is taking that which is natural and organizing it into mechanical frames that are to be used up like resources. But this doesn't mean that all technology is bad. Heidegger defines two different modes of being in respect to our relationship with technology. One of these modes is called ready to hand, where tools and our environment are connected to and a part of our experience. Jedi use a lightsaber in this way, as an extension of themselves. Present at hand is its inverse. The subject is only concerned with the bare facts of that which they observe, callously detached from things by way of technology. This mentality can give rise to the belief that it is acceptable to be a lord over external things like objects or other beings. It is not necessarily that the technology is bad, but rather that our attitude towards nature with regards to our technology is. When we put nature in a frame to objectify it as a thing to be manipulated and controlled, rather like the planet Alderaan within the view screen of the Death Star, forests become lumber, and rivers become sources of hydroelectricity. Anakin Skywalker on Tatooine is surrounded by mechanical objects, and is enframed by Watto even, a living tool for Watto to use as a slave. The slave life that Anakin leaves behind eventually leads to the death of his mother. After slaughtering the Tuskens responsible for her torture and death, Padme tries to tell him that her death wasn't his fault by saying that he's not all-powerful. Anakin responds that he should be, and this reveals that he is beginning to develop an obsession with control, namely trying to shape the fates of those around him so that they are the way he wants them to be. He begins to adopt the present-at-hand perspective. Luke's training forces him to change his present-at-hand perspective to the ready-to-hand perspective. He learns to quiet his mind and see both himself and his lightsaber as fluid extensions of the Force itself. Obi-Wan tells Luke when he trains with the remote to feel and to not use his eyes, getting rid of the present-at-hand perspective. Luke harmonizes with the energy field flowing through him that connects him to everything else and is able to succeed in his trial. Luke unlearns what he has learned when he steps outside of the present-at-hand perspective and switches over to the ready-to-hand perspective. When Luke learns to trust in the Force, he blindfolds himself again as he shuts off his targeting computer, instead relying on the Force to help him destroy the Death Star. Sith do not associate with this harmony, however, rather being trained in aggression, control, and domination. They control nature and life as external objects. Everything then from this viewpoint is ready to be controlled if you are strong enough to do so. I talked a little of the Sith Order's usage of synthetic lightsaber crystals in my video on lightsaber activation sounds if you're interested in that. I'll post a link for it at the end of the video. The incognito Sith Lord Sidious even enframes the clone troopers, altering their genetic structure to make them less independent, so that they will take any order without question, even if it means firing on their Jedi friends. He goes on to build the Death Star, an artificial moon, to be his agent of control in the galaxy after the dissolution of the Senate, relying on fear to keep the systems in line. Anakin's enframing eventually leads to having his arm cut off by Dooku and replaced by a mechanical one. This further deepens his present-at-hand perspective as he now interacts with the world mechanically instead of organically. After his defeat on Mustafar, his entire body becomes enframed with more technology that's necessary to keep him alive, making him more machine now than man, twisted and evil. Vader's ruined fleshy head is shown in Empire, but he does not issue a command of his admiral until he is disconnected from the world by the sealing of his helmet. Cutting himself off from the world, he is now ready to callously command his forces with blatant disregard for their well-being, given that they are simply pawns to be moved and controlled. His son Luke also becomes partially enframed when he too loses his hand in combat. Luke notices his mechanized hand and sees the similarity between his father's path and his own, and this is part of what allows him to snap back to the Jedi ready-to-hand perspective. Having felt so inhuman for so long, Vader had forgotten himself and why he does what he does, even forgetting his own name, as Luke put it. Inspired by his son's actions, he rises as Anakin Skywalker and fulfills the prophecy by destroying the Sith Order and bringing balance to the Force. His last action is to remove his mechanized helmet so that he may see his son with his own eyes, peeling back the enframed structures to reveal the man inside. With his soul redeemed from the devil's grasp, Vader tells Luke he already has saved him, and lets himself go, embracing the Force. The Jedi do not view nature or life as something to be controlled. Jedi do not seek to dominate, unlike their Sith counterparts. They instead harmonize with the life around them and act to facilitate the preservation of life and symbiosis, and by doing so, serve the Force itself. Well, this concludes my exploration on the Jedi Order's thoughts about technology versus nature. If you enjoyed what I had to say, click the like button down below, subscribe for more of my content, which should be coming soon. If you want to receive notifications of when that will be, hit the little bell icon down below as well so you won't miss the next one. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you all next time. May the Force be with you.